She had faced a few questions on Friday. She'll be back on the stand on Monday. One of the differences here is that Cassie Ventura's civil case against Combs and his companies, that's been settled. Richard's civil lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her if they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case? How does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses?
I think that
When we used to freak off, when we were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right. Like it literally made sense for the next step in our sex life together.
Text messages and email chains and BlackBerry messages from 2007, from 2009, where Cassie is confessing her love to Diddy, or I'm a very lucky woman, I miss you, and I'd fly wherever you need me, I love you. And then you see Diddy respond, I love you so much, it makes me cry. And then Cassie writing back, you hungry pop. But I'm thinking, just from my perspective, that around those time frames, she was still relatively young. For the most part, she was in her early.
can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Ms. Ventura's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received, to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts to her credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Ms. Richard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when, frankly, a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm Mr. Combs' ability to have the finances, the funding to be able to pay any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that as people are watching, they need to remember trials involve humans, and humans are messy. So you don't have any purity tests in terms of your witness is on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to ferret that out as long as they are given the right facts and the proper instructions from the judge about the law.
Monique Presley helping us understand it. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
What's Diddy really hiding? Just 1 week into Cassie's bombshell lawsuit, the courtroom already feels like a war zone. And the allegations? Straight up chilling.
Cassie didn't hold back. In the first week alone, she pulled the curtain back on years of twisted control, fear, and humiliation she says she suffered during her time with Diddy. Not just as a girlfriend, but under his grip as a rising star. The most jaw-dropping claim?
Using these text messages to say to her, well, listen, you again were a willing participant, you continue this relationship with him. And the defense is highlighting that through those text messages and through the conversations Ms. Ventura has been having. But it also goes both ways, because also in those text messages, which there are some ones for the prosecution here, she discusses how he has been physically violent towards her. They discuss the freak-offs and a number of other things that really go to show that there was some sort of physical violence within the relationship, threats of force and things like that, which the government essentially has to prove.
I have felt profound anger that she has been...
Something she called freak-offs. And it's as wild as it sounds. So what exactly is a freak-off? According to Cassie, these were setups where she was allegedly forced to take part in intimate acts with strangers, all arranged and watched by Diddy himself. And not once, but repeatedly. She says he pushed these situations on her, turning her private life into a twisted game, all while holding power over her career and body. That phrase, freak off, isn't just a buzzword. It's now at the core of her case. And the drama doesn't stop there.
Subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So, to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this. You did not. Over the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife, freeing herself of her past. There has been speculation online surrounding how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I have felt so many things sitting there. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cassie. I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected.
These claims aren't just about scandal. They're about power, exploitation, and what some insiders are calling a rotten pattern behind the scenes of fame. This isn't just gossip. It's a spotlight on a dark system where control runs deep and receipts, Oh, Cassie brought plenty of those too. Cassie's legal team didn't come to play. They showed up with receipts and raw details. No vague claims here. They laid out shocking, specific examples of Diddy's alleged actions throughout their decade-long relationship, painting a picture of control that was anything but casual.
To sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So, to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this: you did not. You did not break her spirit nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the souls of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength.
According to Cassie, those freak-offs weren't random or rare. They were a regular thing. She says they were designed to break her down piece by piece, to strip her of control, confidence, and identity. This wasn't just a toxic relationship. She claims it was a trap, one built on manipulation, fear, and twisted power plays. And judging by how Diddy's been reacting behind the scenes, he's shook.
And a voice to other survivors, and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from abuse and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more...
His team is scrambling, and it's clear he knows these revelations could set off a domino effect. Because this lawsuit isn't just personal. It's starting a bigger conversation the industry's been trying to avoid for years. For too long, Diddy was seen as untouchable, the ultimate success story. But Cassie's testimony flips the script completely, exposing a dark undercurrent where fame, money, and unchecked power allegedly allowed disturbing behavior to thrive in silence.
Did not have as hard of a job this week as I thought they would.
Yeah. And you're right to point out that the onus is on the prosecutors. The defense can simply stand up and have nothing to say. It's totally up to the prosecutor. So let's move to that side of the courtroom. I had a judge on earlier this morning who said that
this isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about a system that protects predators and silences victims. Experts are already calling this a turning point. If even a fraction of what Cassie described is true, then Hollywood and the music world better brace for a reckoning. Cassie's testimony might just be the first strike, but everyone's watching it like it's the main event.
She doesn't see a racketeering conviction. I reminded her we're a week into an 8-week trial, so there's more to come. But what do you see as it relates to that specific charge and what we heard from the Ventura testimony and just the earliest part of Don Richard's testimony?
Right, and I've got to agree with that judge. What I said, I spoke with your dear colleague Laura earlier in the week, and I said I don't see it yet. That doesn't mean we won't see it, but because Ms. Ventura has been promoted.
From victims advocates to diehard fans and industry insiders, the buzz is deafening. People are saying this could mark the beginning of the end for the old rules that let powerful figures run unchecked in the entertainment world. If these claims against Diddy hold up, it's game over for his legacy. We're talking about a reputation crafted over decades, a mogul image that made him millions, now teetering on the edge of collapse.
As the star witness, I don't think it's established there, and here's why. I think that there's a good bit of time being spent on domestic abuse, and while the domestic abuse is hideous, it is horrible, there's no justifying it, he's not charged with it, Victor. So they're using it in order to show that there was this environment of coercion, but there's several things that Ms. Ventura said that lean the other way. So whether it was the initial questioning where she said the reason why she started doing the freak-offs was because she loved him.
Insiders are already whispering about what a guilty verdict could destroy. His record label, his brand deals, even those luxury lifestyle partnerships that helped him build an empire. Because let's be real, Diddy didn't just sell music, he sold an image. Untouchable, unbothered, unbreakable. And now, that image is crumbling.
Whether it was her testimony that she started to view it, it really was like a job, that she was the person who was making the arrangements. She was the person who was contacting the travel agent for the escorts. She was the person who was selecting the different escorts based on certain parameters. None of that testimony necessarily goes to what the prosecution is hoping to prove. But here's the other thing I'll point out. The jury may be looking at Ms. Ventura as a co-conspirator, as a willing participant in a criminal enterprise. That doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't a criminal enterprise. It just means to me...
Cassie's legal team isn't backing down either. They promised more receipts, more witnesses, and even wilder revelations in the coming weeks. If what we've heard so far shook the room, imagine what's still under wraps. This is only round one, and the gloves are already off. One thing's clear, this trial is high stakes for everyone involved. And Cassie standing up to one of the most powerful names in music, that's being called a historic moment in itself. A bold move that might inspire others to come forward too.
That the prosecution is going a long way to try to prove that Ms. Ventura was forced into an action that I think they can get their proof on where Mr. Combs is concerned, whether Ms. Ventura was involved by force or whether she was involved by choice. It would still be a crime if they can use the rest of the time they have in this trial to show that.
Legal analyst and former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Ellie Honig. Okay, Ellie, before it began, you wrote and said it's overwhelmingly likely to end in a conviction, but it is not a cakewalk. Do you want to take any of that back now that we're into the trial?
But don't think Diddy's camp is just sitting back. Behind the scenes, it's all hands on deck. The real question now is, how far will he go to keep what he built? When big names feel the heat, their instinct is to grab the wheel. And Diddy? He's swerving all over the place trying to stay in control. Ever since Cassie dropped those jaw-dropping allegations, his every move has screamed one thing.
Trial.
No, I'm going to stick with that exactly, Michael. So I think the first part of that is overwhelmingly likely to result in conviction because we saw the evidence this week. I think Cassie Ventura was an extremely effective witness for the prosecution. I think she came across as credible and sympathetic and realistic in the way she described what happened to her. I think that video that we've been showing is incredibly compelling and visceral. But here's why it's not a cakewalk. The prosecutor's job here is not to prove that Sean Combs was a bad guy, a terrible guy. In fact, the defense got up and said he is a bad guy. He did commit domestic violence, but the charges...
Panic. Sources close to the situation say he's pulling every behind-the-scenes string to shut her down and take back the spotlight. But instead of looking powerful, he's looking pressed. From legal threats to quiet negotiations, insiders say Diddy's team jumped into action fast, not to fight in court, but to keep the dirtiest parts from ever seeing daylight. Word is his top play right now, push for a settlement. Because if Cassie settles, that means no more receipts, no more witness bombshells, and most importantly, no cameras in court catching his every reaction while the public dissects every detail.
Here. The charges are the thing. This is not a state prosecution. This is not a domestic violence prosecution. This is a federal prosecution for racketeering, forcible sex trafficking, and then interstate prostitution. And I think as bad and damning as the evidence is, it's going to be tough for prosecutors, I think, to get it to meet the definition of racketeering and forcible sex trafficking.
Okay, and one final point, correct me if I'm wrong, but consent does not provide Diddy a defense here. But to the extent that they're seeking to show that she was a willing participant, it seems like they're just trying to make the whole situation and everybody...
That kind of silence would be priceless for him. But let's be real. If he's in such a rush to sweep it under the rug, what else is hiding in the shadows? What's he really scared the world might hear next? Meanwhile, his PR team is working overtime, trying to manage the mess without actually addressing anything. Experts call it strategic silence. Basically, say nothing, hope people forget, and wait for the next celebrity scandal to steal the spotlight. But here's the twist. This ain't dying down. The more Diddy stays quiet, the louder people talk. And if the plan was to let the story fade, it's not working. Not this time.
Involved, part of some ugly enterprise, and turn the jury off. Do I have it right?
Well, so two things. So On the sex trafficking charges, there's two variations of them. The more serious variation is by force, threats, or coercion. So if she consented, that would negate that. There's a less serious variation that's just interstate prostitution that carries a much lower penalty. To the larger point, the first count in this case is a racketeering conspiracy. I used to charge this all the time. Traditionally, that charge is used for mob families, for drug trafficking organizations. You can see it applied in other ways, but they need to show that Sean Combs...
The noise around this case is getting louder by the day. And Diddy's silence? It's making him look shady, not strong. Instead of staying above it all, he's starting to look like a man with something to hide, a lot to hide. Now, new claims are bubbling up, and they've got people side-eyeing his entire past. Word is, NDAs were a big part of his empire. Allegedly, Diddy's been using non-disclosure agreements for years to lock down anyone who got too close. Associates say signing airtight contracts was standard procedure.
Was at the head of an organization, an organized group that committed multiple interconnected crimes for a common purpose. And I don't think Cassie Ventura's testimony on its own gets prosecutors there, but this is what I'm looking for in the coming weeks. I think they're going to build this out. I think they're going to show that this was not just a troubled domestic relationship, but prosecutors are going to try to show that this was a larger pattern of organized activity. I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to have a hard time making out that racketeering charge, but I do think they've introduced some powerful evidence that can set them on their way towards it.
I'm going to put a social media up and we'll explore.
Why? Easy. If they can't talk, they can't expose the truth. These NDAs weren't just business deals. They were allegedly weapons of silence, tools to build a wall around him while keeping all the mess behind closed doors. But Cassie? She tore that wall down. She's speaking up, even if attempts to muzzle her started long before the trial. And let's not act like this is brand new. Big-name stars have tried this tactic before. Just look at the Harvey Weinstein case. He buried truth under threats, hush money, and legal documents. And for a while, it worked, until it didn't.
Together, but I want to say something. Criminal enterprise, he's the only one at the table. Enterprise with whom?
Yeah. Look, it's a good point. Technically, you can have a racketeering enterprise of one. It is not ideal. I mean, when I charge federal racketeering cases, the fewest defendants I ever had was maybe 5 or 6. I had 25 defendant cases, and I think count on the defense trying to exploit that. They're going to say, folks, they're trying.
She has been very forthcoming in answering these questions. You know, she's showing she is asking for a freak off, or she's, asking, about just more intimate details from her relationship with him.
When the floodgates opened, his whole kingdom crumbled. What Diddy's allegedly doing? Same old playbook. But history shows that once the public sees how the truth was buried, it only fuels more suspicion. These silence tactics don't protect reputations. They shatter them. Now people are asking the real question. Why would a billionaire icon, with power across music and business, be doing this much just to keep one woman quiet? What secrets are still hiding in the dark?
Because to your point, Jesse, a lot of this stuff, some of these messages that we did see in court, Cassie say, "Pop, Pop, I really miss you," and Diddy responding in these messages, "Me too, baby. Damn, I can't wait until I see you." You see a 2010 message where Cassie says, "So you hung up. It's like I need to have something written out to say to you with no breathing room or you'll get mad at me. I haven't talked to you at all. I know you have 3 minutes because, around this time he is running a bunch of businesses. He's going to board meetings. He's traveling across the country. But it seems like, Cassie, from her point of view, just by reading these messages, that you could kind of tell that she was just somebody.
Cassie's choice to take on someone as powerful as Diddy and do it out loud is shaking more than just the courtroom. For years, Diddy was seen as untouchable, a hip-hop kingpin who controlled both the charts and the narrative. But Cassie's showing the world that fear doesn't always win. What makes her stand even bolder? The reported pressure, intimidation, and attempts to drag her name through the mud? Yet she's still standing.
At least from my perspective, somebody that was young and in love and just wanted her boyfriend around her that time.
She wrote to Combs in an email, "In order for me to be more open with the things we do in bed, I need to feel safe, like home, like this is my husband, and this is the only man that will ever have this aggressive sexual side of me. When we used to freak off, when we were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right, like it literally made sense for the next step in our..."
Her refusal to stay quiet is flipping the script in an industry where silence is usually the survival tactic. Cassie isn't following the rules designed to protect the powerful. She's breaking them and becoming a symbol of resistance in the process. But that bravery comes at a price. Taking a public swing at a figure as big as Diddy? That could mean blacklists, closed doors, and quiet rejections across the industry. Lawsuits like this aren't just legal fights. They come with intense media heat and career-threatening consequences. And yet Cassie keeps going. She's risking everything: her peace, her career, her privacy, just to speak the truth. That alone is shaking the system. Because now, people are watching and reconsidering what they thought they knew about power in this game. The stakes are sky high.
She had faced a few questions on Friday. She'll be back on the stand on Monday. The difference, one of the differences here, is that Cassie Ventura's civil case against Combs and its companies, that's been settled. Rashard's civil lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her if they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case? How does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses?
I think that.
But Cassie isn't backing down, and that alone speaks volumes. This isn't about revenge or headlines. It's about something bigger. Her stand is already sparking ripple effects across Hollywood. Insiders say her bravery is making quiet waves. Behind closed doors, more survivors are reportedly speaking up, inspired by what Cassie's doing, even if they're not ready to go public just yet. For years, the industry ran on a silent code: stay quiet, stay protected. But that rulebook, it's cracking.
When we used to freak off, when we were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right, like it literally made sense for the next step in our sex life together.
Text messages and email chains and BlackBerry messages from 2007, from 2009, where Cassie is confessing her love to Diddy, or I'm a very lucky woman, I miss you, and I'd fly wherever you need me, I love you. And then you see Diddy respond, I love you so much, it makes me cry. And then Cassie writing back, you hungry pop. But I'm thinking, just from my perspective, that around those time frames, she was still relatively young. For the most part, she was in her early 20s.
Cassie's case is forcing a serious rethink, especially among younger artists who've watched too many elites go unchecked. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about the entire system. When high-profile lawsuits like this hit the headlines, they do more than stir up gossip. They shake the foundation. Public pressure becomes its own kind of justice, and people are finally asking,
can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Ms. Ventura's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received, to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts to her credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Ms. Richard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when, frankly, a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm Mr. Combs' ability to have the finances, the funding to be able to pay any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that as people are watching, they need to remember trials involve humans, and humans are messy. So you don't have any purity tests.
How much are we willing to ignore just to keep being entertained? Cassie standing tall in the face of intimidation could shift the game, not just for her, but for how power gets checked across the whole industry. And here's the kicker. Legal insiders hint that her team still has more to reveal. She's not done yet, and the industry knows it. The fear of what's still to come is real. Emails, texts, or even witness testimony could flip everything. If what's already out there shook Diddy's empire, just imagine the damage if more evidence drops.
In terms of your witness is on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to ferret that out as long as they are given the right facts and the proper instructions from the judge about the law.
Monique Presley helping us understand it. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Cassie's steady confidence? That's a major clue. There's still more heat on the way. But this isn't just Cassie's fight anymore. It's a message to survivors everywhere. No matter how powerful someone looks, their grip on the story can be broken. By standing her ground, Cassie's showing Hollywood's untouchables might not be so untouchable after all. If she wins this battle, the impact won't stop with one verdict. It could change the entire game. This case is now a symbol of pushback against a system built on silence and control. And Diddy? Every move he makes now looks more like a defense against collapse. His whole image, crafted over decades as a music mogul and cultural icon, is hanging by a thread. If this case blows wide open, we're not just talking lawsuits. We're talking legacy destruction. What happens when the empire he built off power and perception starts falling apart? That's the question probably keeping him up at night. For years, Diddy wasn't just a rapper. He was a brand. Clothing lines, liquor empires, media ventures. He turned celebrity into a full-blown business model. He partnered with luxury names, played the influence game flawlessly, and built an empire rooted in power and perception. But now, these allegations are threatening to tear that empire down brick by brick. Brands don't want scandal. They want safety. And insiders say some of Diddy's corporate partners are already backing away quietly, not wanting to be caught in the fallout. It's still early to track the full damage, but industry watchers believe the endorsements, the collabs, the high-dollar deals, they'll start fading fast if the headlines keep getting uglier. And history backs that up. We've seen this play out before. R. Kelly stayed untouchable for years, until the public stopped looking away. Then the playlist removals, show cancellations, and industry exile came fast. Harvey Weinstein, one of the most powerful names in Hollywood, until it all vanished overnight. These stories prove a hard truth. When public opinion turns, the fall isn't slow, it's brutal. And Diddy could be next. The trial is barely underway and social media is already controlling the narrative. The pressure is building. And if this storm doesn't die down soon, Diddy's empire might not survive the next wave. Cassie's story isn't just in the courtroom, it's everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, her fight is trending, dissected by millions, and turning into a viral storm. Each new revelation sparks debates, with people choosing sides in real time. These days, trials aren't just judged by lawyers, they're judged by hashtags. And public opinion? It hits hard. It shapes reputations, kills deals, and wrecks legacies. If backlash keeps growing, Diddy risks being cut off by fans, brands, even longtime allies who once helped build his empire. What's making things worse for Diddy is that Cassie's team says more is coming. If they've got heavier receipts lined up, texts, witnesses, anything, the fallout could be brutal. His reputation's already cracked, and another blow could flatten it. History shows that support vanishes fast when the truth gets louder. People may stand by you at first, but when the real dirt drops, everyone scrambles to distance themselves from the collapse. And now, the focus isn't just on Cassie. Her case is forcing a deeper look into Diddy's entire history, his relationships, his business, his past behavior. People are asking, what else has been hidden? Right now, Diddy's empire is hanging by a thread. No matter how this ends, settlement, verdict, or another bombshell, the damage, it's already done. Once accusations like this hit the surface, there's no going back. No matter how it ends, Diddy's image has already been reshaped. And the real question now is, how much more will come out, and what will it cost him? While Diddy fights to protect his empire, Cassie's refusal to fold has become a bigger threat than anyone likely expected. This isn't just a personal feud anymore. It's a symbol of something bigger. The trial has become a spotlight on a system that's protected power and silenced victims for decades. What started as one woman's story has now turned into a full-on reckoning in the industry, and Hollywood can't ignore it any longer. For years, stories like Cassie's were buried under NDAs in fear, but her decision to speak up is forcing a harsh look at the toxic power dynamics too many used to brush off. Her claims, especially the disturbing freak-offs, show just how deep this imbalance runs. This isn't just about one relationship gone bad. It's a glimpse into how influence, fame, and unchecked control can twist everything. Behind the glamour, too many powerful names operate in spaces where accountability rarely shows up, and survivors are left to suffer in silence. Now, that silence is being shattered. This trial is happening at a time when the industry is being forced to face the truth about power and abuse. The days of ignoring whispers, like in the cases of R. Kelly or Harvey Weinstein, are fading. Those men kept their careers for years, even with rumors swirling. But once survivors spoke out together, everything changed. Now, Cassie's case lands in a new era, one where social media and cultural movements like #MeToo have made it impossible to bury the truth. These aren't whispers anymore. They're loud, real-time accusations, and the world is watching. Still, the system hasn't changed as much as it should. Hollywood and the music world still thrive on control. NDAs, hush money, image management, Diddy's alleged tactics, the pressure, the silence, the payoffs, they're all part of that machine. What Cassie's doing is more than just fighting for herself. She's taking a swing at a system designed to protect power at all costs. Her courage challenges how the industry has operated in the shadows for decades. If the allegations stick, it's not just Diddy who'll face fallout. His empire, his partnerships, and his brand could all collapse, and the industry itself might finally have to reckon with just how deep this rot goes. And if Cassie's bravery sparks more voices to speak out, this could be just the beginning. This isn't just one lawsuit. It's a potential game changer. Public opinion is already shaping the outcome, just like it did with Weinstein and R. Kelly. Social media is now the courtroom where Cassie's voice can't be silenced or hidden behind redacted documents. When survivors speak today, their stories go viral. They spark outrage, ignite headlines, and force conversations the old systems used to bury. That's where the shift is happening. It's not just about justice in court anymore. It's about exposing the systems that let abuse survive. If this trial keeps revealing more and actually holds someone like Diddy accountable, it could mark a real turning point. Hollywood loves to talk about change, flashing causes on red carpets and making speeches. But this is what real change looks like. Cassie's case challenges everything the industry's protected for years. It's not just about fame, it's about breaking the silence that's protected power for too long. Her stand is a warning shot. Silence isn't safe anymore. This isn't just another messy celebrity scandal. It's a moment that could shift how Hollywood treats its biggest names when the truth catches up. So here's the question. Will this finally be the moment that ends the silence? Or will Hollywood's elites figure out how to shield themselves once again? One thing's for sure. This trial has the industry on edge, and that alone is a major win. Cassie's not just calling out Diddy. She's shaking the whole system by refusing to stay quiet. Going up against one of the most powerful names in entertainment? That takes guts. And the fallout is already impossible to ignore. But this isn't just one woman's battle. It's part of a bigger shift. A moment where fame and fortune no longer guarantee protection. The curtain's being pulled back, and the world is watching. As the case unfolds, the real questions remain. How deep does this go? What else is hiding in the shadows? And who might be next? Stick around because the truth, it always comes out. And this time, it might flip the entire industry upside down. If you're following this story like we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll catch you on the next one.